Hi guys.
Hi guys, Rachel, and I'm here with Ruchama from D-Rama, and we are going live today to talk about body positivity, body image, body neutrality. We turned the camera sideways so that we can both fit in on the screen, so turn your phone sideways. I'm going to upload this to YouTube and I'll save it to my page for 24 hours so that whoever cannot tune in can see it at a later point. But Ruchama had put on her page a question box where you guys could send in your questions for some things for us to discuss. So we have the questions here, and we're going to go through them. I guess before we start, though, do you want to just tell people a little bit about your brand and like what your whole purpose is?
Yes. So D-Rama is a curved line. It's for sizes 10 to 24. We're located in Brooklyn, New York, 3121 Clinton Road. And I think that what's the most special or like that sticks out about D-Rama is that we are very fashion forward and very on trend, and we cater to all ages, and eventually we'll cater to all sizes from 0 to 24, but right now we are 10 to 24, and I think that it's pretty cool that we are the first from fully plus size company.
Awesome. Okay, so when we got together, Ruchama and I, my sister kind of made our shit up. Our
Shout out
match.
Sarah.
Sarah, the best. Sarah Architect. If you love architecture, follow her.
And if you like a good person, she's a good person.
And if you love an amazing person, that too. But she was saying that so much of what I talk about and what I'm passionate about is so in line with Ruchama's mission, and that totally is very much true. The more we talk, the more I see that we are very much in line, and I so support her whole mission and what she's doing here. So we figured today, why not talk about some of the things that are coming up for women in all bodies, not just curvier bodies, even smaller bodies.
So should I read the questions?
So let's read some of the questions.
So I have a list of questions here that we've got in. And question number one is, what do you do, Rachel, and how do you help people?
Okay, so I am a licensed mental health counselor, which is a therapist, basically. And I work with kids and adults, and I work with women post-hysterectomy and with fertility issues, and I work, I do therapy. So, if someone comes into me with body image issues, which I do work with a lot now, more recently since I've talked about it so much on my page, we'll work on body image issues. If I feel like they need a referral to either a dietitian, and I only work with intuitive eating, health at every size dietitians, I will not send anyone to a dietitian who will try to help someone lose weight. So if I feel that they could benefit from working with someone to help them learn how to eat, learn how to nourish their bodies, learn how to fuel themselves, maybe even work on their relationship with listening to their bodies and, that whole mission of intuitive eating.
Their relationship
then I'll,
with food.
Yeah, then I'll refer them to a dietitian. I work with dietitians a lot in my practice. I've learned so much for myself. And I kind of even stumbled on this accidentally. I was someone who was very immersed in diet culture myself. I was someone who very much believed that fat was unhealthy, thin was healthy. And it kind of by accident happened that I started learning about this. And even when I did start learning at first that weight and health were not the same thing, I was kind of one of those people that was still on the fence. Yeah, fine, you can be in a bigger body, but still be healthy. But there's a certain weight that really you need to start losing weight. And then again, as time went on, I started learning more and more how that's just not true. And how harmful it is to be shaming people for the way they look and making judgments about people and making, health a moral value that you have to be someone who's healthy. Nobody has to be healthy if they don't want to be, So that's kind of where I'm at. That's what I do. I'm a mental health counselor, and I work with men, women, kids, women with infertility.
Okay, the next question is, talk about the shopping struggle when you are overweight. So I guess I really should take
So I would
this one.
hand that to
Yeah.
you because, that's important to point out also that there is thin privilege. When you're in a smaller body, you can walk into any store and find any size, and you can find fashionable clothing. And this has been a struggle for people in bigger bodies, that they were always kind of stuck with wearing
matronly.
muumuus.
That's what I was gonna say. Even before I started D-Rama, being that I'm plus size, I did shop at, let's say, Macy's or Nordstrom, and I do find that their things it's because it's supposed to be for across all boards, all ages. so it's very matronly or it's very stiff. I think in the frum society that we live in, also there's a lot of things that are trendy. Like when I was in high school, charisma skirts were like the biggest thing. And you know, this year, like the whole like Zara became very popular and all those items that they create. So it's like, it's hard when you can't get the same things, you know. And even companies that we love that are so popular on Instagram, I don't want to point out anybody, but like they only come up to a certain size. So for me, you know, that's where a lot of, you know, the ideas came from, things that were super popular, things that, you know, I made up, things that I've bought in the past and that I wanted to make again. Also just things that I think are useful and just basic, and also could go from all ages and all sizes.
Yeah. So I think that's so important. That struggle is that, yeah, perfect.
But it's definitely
you walk
a
into
struggle.
Zara and you want to...
Even if you think of it in a social way, like as a young girl, like going with your friends on Avenue J on a Friday or wherever you live, let's say, you know, whatever store is your main store there, it's like, it's hard. Like, you can shop with your friends and it becomes like a social thing. Like, maybe I shouldn't go out with them because, you know, it's like...
It's true, right? Yeah. So powerful. Thinking about, like, everyone has that sweatshirt and you're, you know, you're 17 years old and you want it too, but it doesn't come in your size. That's really painful and really hard.
Yeah.
So I think that, again, like, clothing lines like yours are so important because you're providing that you can be on trend. You can wear what
Not only that,
I
love when a customer comes in and says, okay, I wanted this item for so long. Can you make it? I have a customer. She's awesome. She follows us, and I don't know if she wants me to say her name, so I'm not. But she wanted this dress that a company had made. It was like the hottest thing this summer, and I made it because she really wanted it, and I thought, hey, it'll benefit other people. I'm sure if she wants it, there's 20 more people that want it.
Right.
And you know what? It was a great sell. And we have also a lot of skirts now that like are very popular. Like you see these acid wash.
Yeah,
it's like a super popular skirt, and you can't get it if you're above a size large.
Right.
So, you know, to me, I felt like that was important because now I feel safe. I could have it too.
Right. I love that.
Okay, the next question. How do I learn to accept my body and love it when I just don't? So I'm just going to say this and then I'll let you take over that no matter what you look like, whether it's a weight issue, an acne issue, men, women, nobody loves their body 100% of the time. It is a struggle, and it is a struggle always, every single day. I think my biggest struggle was opening up this company because I was so afraid that I'm not married yet and that people would think that, oh, you're plus size. You're putting it out there that you're plus size. And for so long I was so afraid, and then I was just like, you know what? I am who I am, and I worked so hard to be comfortable within my own skin and who I am, and then I'm just going to go for it. But there are days I wake up and I'm like, I'm not going to work. I don't want to see anyone. I look so ugly. I feel so fat. And you know what? My mother, who's a size 4, is the same way.
Right.
So it's for everyone. You don't always love your body, but there are things that you could do to make yourself accept it and work on it, which I think therapy is a huge help. I think self-care is a big thing to it. And just giving your body the real love that it needs. Everybody needs different things, you know? Everybody self-cares differently.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was a great answer, and I think that basically what you said is correct. Like, we don't have to love our bodies. We just have to accept that this is the body that I have, and I need to just respect it. So on the days that you wake up and you feel like, ugh, I feel disgusting, or I hate myself, or I wish I looked different, then I would kind of like stop and say, like, why am I feeling this way, and what do I need to do? You know, so if you wake up, you know, and you have those days and you're like, oh, I feel gross, I'm not going to eat breakfast today, stop yourself. Why am I thinking that not eating breakfast is going to make me feel better about myself? Why am I punishing myself? Kind of just like accepting your negative feelings. And I talk a lot about this, just not even about body acceptance, just in general. When you're feeling bad, don't try to push that away and replace it with good feelings.
Right,
you're allowed to feel
feelings
bad.
is like,
yeah.
Oh, no.
You're allowed to have like a crappy day. You're allowed to feel like you don't like yourself, and kind of just honoring that feeling and saying, like, I don't have to do anything about it. I don't need to try to make myself feel better. I just need to accept the feeling. I think also important is that you can try to kind of like practice like body neutrality statements. So, and just body appreciation. So on a day that you're like, oh, I don't like how I look, you could say, I don't have to like how I look, but I can be grateful, you know what, that my arms can hug my family or hug my kids or cook myself dinner, or that I have legs that like carry me, you know, to my car or to my job, and or that I can bend and stand.
I woke up today even.
Yeah, that I have a body, that I am here physically and I'm alive, and we understand how precious life is. So even if you can just like practice gratitude about what your body does for you instead of how it looks, That's like a really important thing. Or, you know, you could focus on different parts of it. You know what? I do have great hair though, so I don't love how my body looks today, but my hair is great. Or I have great skin, or I have beautiful eyes, or I have awesome eyelashes, or whatever it is.
It's so funny that you said the gratitude thing. In my office, I make the girls do it every day before they leave. It's a gratitude jar. We have a slip of paper, and everybody has to write what they're grateful for. Because sometimes you forget, you know? And just like you should count your blessings. I think it's important.
I love she's
How should one react when people say maybe you shouldn't eat that? That is my pet peeve. Don't ever do that.
Oh my God.
Don't ever do that to somebody. If you think you're helping your child, you are not, because they will go to the closet and eat the whole box.
Yes, rude. We are not allowed to comment ever on what people put in their mouths, what people wear, how people look. Like, that is not
but like
your
moms
business.
really think it'll help their child.
Yes.
Maybe it's like, tell them don't eat it. It doesn't help.
No, and that's something that I actually work on a lot with parents is like, the more you try to control what your children eat, the more out of control they will be. And when they're not in your sight and when they're not in your control, they will be trading snacks with their friends, hiding things. I had a mom come into me a few weeks ago who's kind of been a little bit in denial about restricting her child and was kind of not on board with me in terms of my, like, give your kid permission to eat. And finally she came to me one week, and it was like a very emotional session, but she had a Ziploc freezer bag full of candy wrappers that she found under her kid's bed.
Of course.
And she was like, okay, like, I think I'm ready to, like, change what I'm doing. And that was, like, super emotional for her because she was restricting this child and trying to get him to lose weight and didn't understand why he's so big, I'm giving him carrots for lunch, and I'm giving him salads, and I'm upping his protein, and I'm making him more active, but he's still gaining weight. And he was snake eating.
Of course.
So commenting on what people eat and telling them maybe you shouldn't eat that just
You're creating
shame.
a closet eater. You are creating a closet eater, I feel like.
Because
they're hiding. Like, they want to eat it.
Yeah.
And usually it's a mind thing.
Yeah.
It's like when someone tells you, no, you can't have that.
Right.
Yes, I can,
You
and I'm
want
going
it
to have more.
Right. It also creates that feeling of shame, and when you cause someone to feel shame, you make them feel stressed, and we know that cortisol levels are just not good for your health. So when you have increased cortisol, you have higher risks for heart problems.
Can you explain what cortisol is?
Cortisol is a hormone in your body. It's a stress hormone.
Okay.
So it serves a good function sometimes because when there's a stress hormone being released, a call to action might happen. So if you're stressed out about something and that cortisol level goes up, you might be able to defend yourself or react in a way that you need to. But when cortisol is being released unnecessarily, it has a lot of negative effects on your health. So again, we know that people that have high stress levels are at risk for heart disease, heart attack, all kinds of issues. Also, not to say that gaining weight is bad, but it will cause you to gain weight. Cortisol makes you hold on to body weight, hold on to fat. It messes with your metabolism. So you're kind of doing the exact opposite of what you want to do. So you're concerned that your kid needs to lose weight or stop gaining weight, and you're shaming them and making them feel bad about themselves. You're increasing their cortisol levels. They're just going to continue gaining weight. We also know from all of the research, and I'm very into evidence-based research, we know for sure that kids who are put on diets when they're younger ends up at, again, nothing wrong with being at a high weight, but you are pushing their weight higher than it should have been, right? They end up at higher weights as adults. So if you would just leave them alone, they'll be at the weight that they need to be. They'll, grow up, and either they'll stretch out or they'll stay, but it'll kind of balance out. But the more that you push them and try to control what they're eating, the more complicated their relationship gets with themselves, their bodies, their food. Leave them alone.
Which brings us to our next question. It says, can you talk about the struggles that a heavy person can have at a young age? Which
Right.
I think the biggest thing at a young age when you're heavy is the peer pressure.
Yeah.
Also, like, it's you're in that place where you're figuring out who you are, you want to fit in, and with the cool kids or whatever, and it is, like, even, like, just going out on a Sunday or a Pizza Friday, like, those things are, like, it is a stress. I believe that it really is there is a stress.
Do you feel like when you're with your friends, like when you were younger even, and your friends were eating out at a restaurant, did you ever feel like, I can't eat what I want to because
No.
they're going to judge me?
No, but I did sometimes feel at home that my family or my mother was judging me.
Right.
I think that when I was a kid, my mother was also in denial of, like what you're saying with food and whatever, but I think that as an adult, she has learned to accept the way I am and who I am, and I can't remember the last time she ever said, don't eat that, or maybe you don't want that. My mother is the first person to bring me lunch and the first person to tell me what I should eat,
Right.
And she'll always suggest, and if I want something else, I don't have, like, I'm not never embarrassed. But as a kid, I was really embarrassed.
Right.
You know, I was embarrassed to say I wanted the deli chips versus the cut slices of apples that she cut me.
Right.
But, you know, as a kid in school, I didn't necessarily feel that there was, like, a struggle because I was always on the more popular end. I was always, like, the ringleader of the troublemakers.
Right.
So that was my thing. But I think it also was, like, a total mask for that. Like, you know?
Right.
But yeah, I definitely think that young kids have a struggle, and I think a lot of it comes if you have a good, solid home, or it's just love. I think you don't feel it as much, but there is definitely a struggle that the child feels.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, interesting that you didn't experience that, but I know that some of the kids that I see in my office will say, like, they're embarrassed to eat sometimes in front of their friends because their friends either have preconceived notions, like, oh, you need to eat more because you're fat, or like, oh, you're going to have that and maybe you shouldn't, or just in their head they hear a voice of, like, maybe you shouldn't eat that. So when they're out with their friends, they feel like they can't fully be themselves and eat the things that they want to.
It's so funny because as a kid, it was my family. I wasn't embarrassed my friends.
Right.
In fact, my aunt, when I was a kid, where we lived, I lived right around the corner from my aunt. I would sooner go to her on a Friday night as a kid than my own house.
Wow.
I remember being so embarrassed. Like, you know, also my whole family is very thin and diet conscious. Like, my dad's like a compulsive biker. Like, he's very into biking and spinning. My mother's always on a diet or being very careful. My siblings are just genuinely thin. They don't necessarily watch what they eat like I have to, but they, you know. So I remember just being like, you know, embarrassed, not because my portions were more, just because I felt like everybody was like, maybe those are bad choices that you're making.
But that's important also. Like, sometimes people in bigger bodies feel judged, even if they're not being judged.
Yeah,
they sometimes feel more.
I always have this conversation at a kiddush, on a Shabbos kiddush with, like, random women. I always see the ones that are not eating, and it's always the heavy ones. And I'm always like, do you think people don't think you eat? They think you eat. Like, just eat. You know, but I get it. Like, I totally get it. But people know people eat. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, next. How to deal with a mother that I love that keeps asking me to lose weight.
That's hard. That's hard. So definitely, I mean, again, something I talk about a lot on my page that applies certainly to this is boundaries. You have to let your mom know, or your dad, or whoever it is, your sister, that weight is not up for discussion. You can say, you know what, like, I'm practicing this intuitive eating. I'm really just, like, focusing on honoring my health and honoring my body. And, like, I get that you think that this is important, but that's not what I'm focusing on right now. Change the subject. And I would say that you have to constantly be doing that. And if it's something she constantly brings up, or whoever constantly brings up, I would say that you can say to them, if you're going to keep bringing this up, like, I'm not going to get together with you, or I'm going to have to hang up, or I'm not going to come over. They have to know that you mean. There's got to be, like, a consequence to not honoring the boundary.
Like a conscious.
Yeah, like, this is my line in the sand. I get that you think that you're helping me, but it's not helpful for you to continually bring up my weight. So please stop talking about it. Let's talk about something else. There's so many other things to talk about. So I think that's important, just drawing that boundary and letting them know that you mean it. If they see that you mean it, they'll stop. But if, you know, occasionally you're, like, you know, going for it and having the discussion, they're going to keep doing it. So I think boundaries are really important, and letting them know it's just not on the table for you. That's not something that you're focusing on, and you don't want to talk about it.
So I honestly, I wish I could add to this. I don't have that issue with my mother, so I can't personally add to it. My mother's just very into health. She just wants me to be healthy. She's always into doctors. She's shoving me with vitamins all the time. That's my mother. So I don't have that issue, so I can't offer anything. So I'm going to skip to the next. What can you do to not be awkward when you get seated somewhere at a table in a tight spot? Okay, so I am the queen of this.
Okay.
I am the queen of this because I always am, like, that awkward person that when you go to a restaurant, I'm like, can we switch seats? Like, could you sit in it? What I would just say is that if you are friends or family with the person that you're sitting with, just say either can we swap seats where it's a little less whatever. And then also just own who you are and just be like, excuse me, I'm not as thin as you think this is, you know, just own it. Because at the end of the day, like, there's always these awkward things that happen, but the second it's over, it's like getting a pinch. It hurts the first second, but then it's over. So like, you know what, like, it's awkward. It's life.
Right.
You know?
I think a lot of it also is, like, we kind of have to, like, get out of our heads. When you are in a tight space, you start thinking, ugh, it's tight because I'm fat and I need more room. And if I ask for room, it's going to bring attention to the fact that I'm fat. And I could be in a tight space, too. And I could be like, oh, can we move the table? But I won't have all of that, like, self-conscious,
It's a thought process
narrative
that goes
going on in
into
my
it,
head.
yeah.
Right. I would be like, can we move the table? It's squishy. So kind of just say that, like, I just need more space because of who, if your legs are long, are you ashamed that you need more leg room? Like,
I always
no.
make jokes. Like, I walk by a table, like, I just went to this Izzy's fried chicken in
delicious,
Crown Heights. It was
yeah.
so good. I went with my cousin, and she's, like, so skinny. We always go out to eat together. She just loves to eat, and I'm always, like, chilling with her. So when we went, it was, like, a very tight space, and the table, like, this was my table.
Squishy there.
Like, this, whatever. It was very squishy.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I just made a joke. I'm like, yo, I can't fit in. I just ate fried chicken. Move over. I was, like, making a joke with the guy, and he was
Right.
laughing, and it was awkward for 30 seconds, and then I sat down. Like,
Right.
big deal. I don't really, I don't really have, like, otherwise any other seating issues. It's
Right.
pretty much good on the seating.
Right.
Okay. Seated. Okay, 8. How to love your body when surrounded by petite people.
Okay, so again, this is another thing, like, kind of, it goes back to that body acceptance thing. Like, every body looks different, and we have to just remember that. Like, no two people look the same. And if you go, I would say, like, the next time you're at a function, or even at shul, or at your kid's school, or anywhere, shopping.
Don't focus on that. Like,
I would say just look around and look at how different people are. Height, hair, eye color, skin texture, shoe size, fingers, nails. Like, we all look different. And that is a good thing, right? So you might feel like you're surrounded by people that are thinner than you or whatever, but I would say change that talk, change that voice, change that narrative from everyone's thinner than me to everyone is just different, and that's okay. People look different. Everyone's shaped differently. They are different heights. They are different, again, different hair colors, different eye colors. Like, why am I focusing on weight and saying, like, ugh, I don't feel good? Like, I don't care if someone has blonde hair and I have brown hair. But again, because we've been taught by society that if you're in a bigger body, you need to feel bad about it, we start noticing that. And we are hyper-focused on how people look, and then we feel ashamed if we don't look, according to the ideal or according to what the majority is. So I would say just make sure that you're changing that voice from everyone's thinner than me and better than me and looks better than me or prettier than me or whatever to everyone looks different, and that's okay, Like, nothing wrong with that. But again, this takes a lot of practice. Like, you're going to have to, something that I
like, I wasn't always like this, where, like, I just owned who I was.
Yeah.
I actually went to years of therapy to make me like this and to learn to accept the way I am and learn to love myself. And it is a daily struggle. It is a morning struggle. It takes your every being to build yourself up and to always feel good. And, you have to learn to know yourself and get to know yourself and see what makes you feel good about yourself, and then how to counteract that and bring that out, like, for yourself.
Yeah.
I think that, with this surrounded by petite peeps, don't think about it like that. Think about it like I'm hanging out with people. Like, some people have acne. I don't. Some people are heavy. Some people are skinny. Everybody's different. Everybody has different things. I feel like God made everyone different for a reason. Like, I'm not skinny because it took me a few years to figure out that this is what I want, and this is what I'm going to give to the world, and this is what I'm adding to the world. D-Rama was years in the making. Like, for 6 years, I was jumping jobs. I worked, you don't even know, I was a jungle gym. I worked in a dental hygienist office. I worked in a baby clothing store. I worked in a regular, I jump. And the whole time, I wasn't achieving to where I needed to be and where I wanted to be, and I was so unhappy. And then, I just said, screw the rest of the world. They're not paying my bills. They don't care about me. At the end of the day, I go home with me, and I have to live within me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do what makes me happy, and that's how this kind of happened. And I feel like you just need to get to know yourself and, like, live with yourself.
Yeah.
And then once you are happy and secure within yourself, that's when you can be around other people and be with another person, because you're happy within yourself.
And I loved your point that you made about when you're with maybe friends who are smaller than you, instead of saying, oh, everyone's smaller than me, say, I'm with my friends. Stop focusing on the outside, the externals. Like, focus on who you
It's
are.
very hard
with.
in our society, though.
It is
I
hard.
I really get it. Like,
Yeah.
it's really hard.
But it's practice, like you said.
Because in general, you're always looking at what other people have. That's our nature. So, like,
Yeah.
it's very hard to just say it. But if it's something you consciously work on, like, it eventually goes away.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, our next question is how to deal with the shame of weight gain. So I'm a yo-yo, so I'll tell you that I don't think I feel shame. I think I feel, is embarrassed shame?
Yeah. Embarrassment is
Sometimes I
shame.
feel embarrassed. Like, I fluctuate. Sometimes, I gain a lot of weight. Sometimes I lose a lot of weight. and I sometimes feel embarrassed about it. I'm not gonna lie, I feel embarrassed sometimes. But I also feel like I work very hard to own who I am. So, I mean, I kind of, just am who I am, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
I really work hard to own who I am. So, yeah, sometimes it is shameful.
Yeah.
It is, especially when, like I said, the whole world is like, we're very, everything is on Instagram and body and showing and this one and there is no Instagram influencer that is heavy.
Right. It's
So,
true.
it is definitely a big deal, weight gain, but I don't think you should be ashamed and hide and hate yourself, because that is wasted time and wasted headspace. I think that every single person should feel love for themselves. I think that's very, very important and super emotional, and sometimes it's hard, but when you get to that point, it's like, it's in a feeling I can't explain to you. Like, when you love yourself, it's just, you feel on top of the world. And nobody should ever take that away from you. So as shameful as it is, you should always remember and try to practice loving yourself.
Totally. And I think something that's important to point out is if you're gaining weight because you're on the intuitive eating journey, a lot of the time that is sometimes what happens. That's why people don't want to start eating intuitively, because they're terrified of the weight gain. So I know for me personally, when I started eating intuitively, I did gain weight, and that was scary, because I do have, as much as I accept fat bodies and I don't care if other people are fat and I don't judge them and I don't think that they're less healthy, for me it really taught me, like, but I didn't want to gain weight, and I didn't want to be in a bigger body, and I wanted to stay the size that I was. So it kind of like showed me about my own fat phobia and my own fear of gaining weight. And what I came to, and it's taken a long time, I've been on this journey for a little over a year now, is I've learned, like, for me, the weight gain it was upsetting to me, yes, but I also knew that, like, I was gaining physical weight, but the weight of always being nervous about how I looked and making sure I was at the gym and not eating, this, and being careful about that and fitting into this and, not liking this part of my body, that weight was shed.
What?
So I lost that, and I gained so much freedom from not caring about that stuff anymore. And then it became that I went to the gym because I like being there, and it makes me feel good just to move and to be strong, and it's good for my mental health and my physical health. It just changed everything. So the weight gain is hard, and you can accept that. Again, you don't have to be like, I'm fine with the weight gain, it's totally cool. You can say it is hard for me, and that is something that I need to work on, and I need to learn to accept. But also understanding that doesn't make you less of a person. And again, you have to kind of like look like, yes, maybe I'm in a bigger body than I would like to be, but what did I gain in terms of my own mental health and my own emotional health?
Well, the food relationship is a whole other topic we could get on.
Yes,
like it's a really like it's for thin people also. Your relationship with food is
Yeah. So I would just say accepting the weight gain and understanding like what that's an indicator of. So for me personally, it was an indicator of I finally let go of so much rigidity and so much disordered thought around body image and food and weight, not just for other people, but for myself too. And I've made peace with it again because I feel that I am a happier person because I don't care about that stuff anymore. And because I feel like I've learned to be so much more accepting of other people. I have a better understanding for people. I have more compassion for people. I remember I used to seriously judge my bigger friends and be like, well, if they would just lose weight, if they would just stop eating, if they would just, like, that was my belief.
Because I think that people have this misconception that you judge someone on the outside, whether you're thin or heavy, that you think that's how healthy a person is.
Yes.
Do you know how many customers I have that either are cancer survivors? I have a lot of people that have PCOS. I have a lot of people that are super crazy strong and athletic, work out all day, and are just bigger girls.
Yeah.
Everybody's body and relationship with food is very different. So you cannot tell how healthy somebody is from the outside.
No.
And I wish we lived in a world where people didn't judge based on the outside.
Yeah.
That's there's you kind of have to learn to
I have a friend
it.
who told me that she has like her in-laws and her parents, and she said like I don't remember which side it was, but one set of parents was very heavy and like never had any health issues, like they're just heavy, and she has a thinner set of parents or in-laws or wherever it is, and one has high cholesterol, they have high blood pressure, the other one has had cancer. Like, so it doesn't matter if you're in a thin body or in a bigger body. And, you know, people say, well, if you're in a bigger body, you're at higher risk for cancer and certain diseases and whatever. It's just not true. Thin people get the same diseases and same illnesses as bigger people.
I have an aunt. She is a toothpick. She just had knee surgery.
Right. But if she was big and went into a doctor, they would say, lose weight, don't do the surgery, lose weight. That's why you have joint issues. So again, doctors have this medical bias, this stigma, and they think that, again, weight is tied to health, and it's not always that simple. So I think that, you know, accepting weight gain as kind of an indicator of like, yes, I'm in a bigger body right now, but trusting that my body knows what it's doing, and also kind of understanding like why I'm even at this place. Like, would I trade it to go back on a diet again? Never. Do I sometimes have thoughts of like, oh, maybe I should just diet again? For sure I do. I'm a human. I do think about it. But then I remember like, how many times am I going to do this? My whole life I've been not even necessarily dieting, but just disordered eating, avoiding certain foods, or not, you know, skipping meals or whatever it is.
As Jews, we're social eaters. We are.
We're very
every
food
Yontif,
centered,
every
yes.
Shabbos, every a friend's birthday, just dinner out with your friends during the week.
Yeah.
We're very social eaters. Everything. We're vacation. What restaurants are we hitting up on this vacation?
But I think that's such a great indicator, though, of how we really believe as a religion that food is something that makes you happy and enhances your life. So all this fear about emotional eating is bad. Emotional eating is part of life. Food makes us feel good. We don't eat foods that make us feel bad, you know? So emotional eating is not necessarily a bad thing. It's only unhealthy when you're numbing yourself, or you're avoiding life, or
you're burying your feelings.
Yes, or you're using it to avoid, you know, feelings or situations. But again, weight gain is not necessarily a bad thing, and we're taught that it is because of social media, because of, you know, we have government agencies telling us about obesity epidemics, and that being fat is killing you. It's just not true. The research is out there. It's not true, and there's so many great books to read, and if you like research, so much research to read to really educate yourself. And I think that's really the beginning of it, that you have to start educating yourself, following body positive accounts, following body diverse accounts on social media. If you're
knowledge is power, guys.
Yeah, yes. Following clothing lines that are supportive and inclusive of bigger bodies, you know, getting and seeing like what's out there. And if you follow someone who's like always on a diet, or always pushing a diet, or always telling you what they ate and eat like them and how many calories are in their food, like,
or people who are skinny and say they're on the cottage cheese diet,
right? Mute the account or
unfollow people
it.
In real life too, guys.
Yes,
it's so important to see somebody that brings you anxiety. Like, it's just not important. Like, okay, you want that Target deal? Swipe up on Target once a week, guys. You know, like,
it's true.
But seriously, if something brings you heartache or jealousy, or just you feel anxiety from their page, unfollow it. It's hard, believe me. I have had to unfollow certain people or certain accounts. I'll give you an example. I'm a shopaholic. I love to buy things. I really do. There was a website that would post every day shoes for cheaper, designer shoes for cheaper, and I would order one every few weeks, and it got to a point where, like, this is sick. So I had to unfollow.
Right.
And you know what? It was hard the first few days, and then I'm like, oh my God, whatever happened to that page?
Right.
So you know what I'm saying?
Forget about it.
You don't need to follow people just because it's a trend or what's in, if it brings you agmas nefesh.
Yeah, totally.
Okay,
Totally.
We have 2 more questions.
Okay.
How to accept yourself as you are. I'm going to let you do this.
Okay. Do you have any thoughts that you want to share?
How to accept yourself as you are. It's a work in progress, and self-care.
Yeah.
That's mine.
Self-care for sure. And again, I think just even at night or at some point during the day, you could do it in your phone, you could do it on a piece of paper, you could have a notebook in your night table. At the end of the day, just think of 1 or 2 things that you like about yourself, and like put it out there. Either verbalize it or put it in writing, and start learning to appreciate yourself.
I once had a therapist that made me write a love letter to myself.
It's so important.
And it was so weird to write it, but it was actually, when I read it to her at the next session, it was kind of nice.
It helps. It's so nice to hear what other people like about you, but you have to do the same thing for yourself. So someone might be like, oh, you're so funny, and you're like, oh, you know, thanks. If not, yeah, you know what, I am kind of funny. Yeah. Someone thinks you're so smart, you know what, I am smart, but like I read a lot and I think a lot, and yeah, you know what, I am. Like, start acknowledging the things about yourself that have nothing to do with the way you look. You can pick, things about how you look also, but I would say start looking at like who you are as a person and appreciating it, and like saying what you like about yourself. And it's so funny because whenever I tell my kids to do this, they're always like, oh, isn't that bragging? Isn't it bragging to say what you like about yourself? And I'm like, no, it's not bragging to appreciate the gifts and talents and who you are as a person. It's showing gratitude to Hashem, to God, but also to yourself. The more you appreciate yourself, the more good you have to give out there to people, and the more you can kind of like hone in on those talents and the things that are great about you. So if you realize that, you are a compassionate person, you're more likely to like get into the right areas of life where you're going to be able to use that skill to help people and to do
Also,
good.
only surround yourself with people that make you feel good about yourself and bring you up. If you're friends with somebody or in a toxic relationship because they make you feel bad about yourself, you should run.
Yeah.
Because nobody deserves that, and I can't express enough. You should just surround yourself with people that really are there for you and show you what you can do, like the good in yourself. So it's very important.
So she's so smart. She's smart and amazing and a boss. But it's true. Also look at who you're surrounding yourself with. Are they people that push you to accept yourself and push you to appreciate yourself and appreciate?
Or make you feel shame.
Yeah. Or are they constantly putting you down and making you doubt yourself and feel like what you do is not good enough? That's super important. You have to feel like the people that are surrounding you are like your tribe, and they really want the best for you and they want you to see who you are. And if you don't, then I would say like those people need to kind of like not have space in your life anymore. They need to kind of be replaced with people who do appreciate you, or just not have any room in your life.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great question.
Yes.
Okay.
I believe that was the end of our question. We had one more that I told you from that username. What are your feelings on Instagram? Like, what do you feel about Instagram world?
Okay.
So I didn't write it down because she didn't write it. Like, there was no username, so I was like, okay.
Okay, so I think social media can be amazing. I think it is such a great platform, but I think that it is what you make it. So it could be a horrible experience or it can be an amazing experience. And that's something that I always talk about. You guys know I actually just did a story on a couple weeks ago.
Saturday nights ago.
About how people were feeling very let down by accounts. Yeah. And to which I say, if you're feeling not good when you're on social media, it doesn't mean you have to stop using it.
Or delete it. It means unfollow.
It means, look at who you're following and look at the space that you've created for yourself and do a little bit of cleaning up. If you're following an account that was like, their whole thing is clothing, and all of a sudden they're like showing you what they eat and that they're at the gym and what vacations they're on.
And you're annoyed for it, or their children are too annoying, then unfollow it. It's okay. You know?
And you don't want to see that because that's not why you follow them, then you don't have to follow them. And you can follow somebody else. So I know for me, my use of social media is so empowering. I learn so much. I love it. I do not feel bad when I'm on there ever because I don't follow any accounts that would make me feel bad or annoyed. And if I do start getting annoyed by an account, I'll mute it or I will unfollow it, and that's it. And like, it's not even a question for me.
So me, for my focus on my D-Rama account, I always tell my girls this also. I want to just keep it light, eerie, fun, a place to just see cute clothes and cool quotes. Tongue twister. But I like to keep it just very positive. I think that last week was my first negative notion on Instagram, and it was funny because I got some interesting feedback, but we had a customer that disputed something when she had the items, so I was like, okay, so it's stealing, but whatever. Right. So it was my first negative, but I felt like nobody we have a bunch of girl designers WhatsApp group, and I feel like on that group everybody talks about how this one disputes this and this one disputes this, and everybody just swallows it. But at the end of the day, we're people too. There's people behind these accounts, So I was like, you know what? I'm going on here for all girl boss designers. If you don't like me, unfollow me. But I'm just saying, you can't just do that because you're unhappy. Reach out to the people. Tell them what the problem is. Believe me, nobody just wants you to get a bad clothes and then buy, thanks for the money. No, we want you to come back. There's people that come here all the time and they ask 1,000 times, does this dress look good on me? And I'm always I would never send somebody out here if they look bad. I have so many times told people, please take that off. I really don't think that suits you, or this dress would be better, or this, it's too tight. Let's size you up. It's a representation of who I am. You are walking out in a D-Rama, you are telling someone on a oh, I got a D-Rama. That is me.
Right.
You are wearing me. So
True.
I would never sell something that somebody looks horrible in. It's like my first thing. Yes, I'm always like telling people, try this on, try this on. The more, the merrier, believe me. But at the same time, like, if you look bad in it, you're not going home with it.
Right.
Unless you insist, but,
Right.
you know what
Right.
I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's such a bad representation.
Right. So true.
That was
Yeah.
my first negative time on Instagram.
Right.
But other than that, like, I just want it to be very light and eerie and like a place where you just come to look at cute clothes and just good quotes.
Right.
And I sometimes post my personal life. Sometimes,
Right.
you know, like I took my sister on vacation, so
Right.
I shared that a little bit.
Right.
I share my outfits of the day.
Right.
Sometimes I share the lunch that we eat.
Right.
But other than that, just keep it light.
Yeah, and that's how it should be. Like, social media was built as a place to connect with people and to feel good, to make social connections where, you know, because being connected with people is like a basic human need. So if you're feeling disconnected and unhappy, then that means that social media is not serving you in a good way. So I would say that's when you have to start looking at, okay, what accounts do I follow? Are they really making me feel good? What message are they giving me? Is it in line with what I'm working on right now or what's important to me? And if it's not, then you don't have to be on that page. There are plenty of other people that want to hear that message that will follow them. Like, you're not obligated to anyone. So I think that's really important, just being super honest with yourself. And again, it's a constant thing to constantly be looking through your list. Like, maybe once a month, go through who you follow and see, like, do I engage with this account so much? Like, does it annoy me? Okay, so I think I'm done with it, you know? And that's okay. You can move on at any point. And I think that's just being, like, honest with yourself, and that's an act of self-care, right? Self-care is not like going for a massage, you know, and manicure is like, that can be self-care, but self-care can also be like not looking at certain accounts, not answering certain messages,
Being
on,
aware.
you know, just being aware, not answering a text message, not answering a nasty DM in your you know, Instagram account.
Oh my God.
Just ignoring
When
it.
I started my page, I got so many, like, you should lose weight. One of my photo shoots, I love Vogue. I'm a constant reader. And Michael Kors did a photo shoot with a girl lying on a bed with a pie pizza and a slice. So I thought it was so cute for one of my photo shoots. It was in an apartment. So on the kitchen, I put a girl sitting off the counter with the dress and holding a slice of pizza, eating it. I thought it was so cute, and it was like something added. I didn't want some just like backdrop where
Right.
the girl's standing. I wanted it to be like, look, we're real women and we really have real lives, and we don't just stand behind white sheets and, like, you know, we sit on countertops and talk to our friends.
Right.
So I gave her a pizza, and oh man, did that cause an uproar.
Wow.
Because how dare
Right.
a heavy girl, or
Eating
even a
pizza.
semi-heavy girl, eat pizza? Like,
Right.
only thin bodies could eat pizza.
Right.
I was so, and this woman DM'd me, like, you should not be promoting unhealthy eating. I'm like, listen, lady, I'm not promoting unhealthy eating. I'm not promoting anything other than buying my clothes. So thank you very much. And I was just like, very like, whoa.
Right.
And that was my first, like, Instagram, like,
Yeah.
you know, like, you're opening yourself up to a world that's like whatever. And then I've gotten the weird DMs like, oh, do you think that being overweight affects your shidduchim or whatever?
Oh, wow.
And I just, like, I sometimes don't answer, and sometimes I'm like, does being tall affect your shidduchim? Like, I'm saying, you know, like, everybody's got something, right?
Guys, don't send messages like that. Just don't.
I always say it's from the weird usernames because it's the
Yeah.
people that hide behind the
Right.
thing.
Like,
No,
would you say
like-
that to my face? Probably
Exactly.
not. Right.
And
Or
if
maybe
you,
you
and
would.
if you would, please come and ask
Right.
me, you know?
Right. Yes, I definitely get messages from people also like, you're promoting obesity and you're promoting out of control behavior and whatever. And my answer is always, I'm promoting health. That's what I'm promoting. I'm promoting people to find a space in their life where they feel healthy and happy. And health is not at all how you look. It is your mental health, it is your emotional health, it is your physical, it's your financial health, it's your spiritual health, it's your relationships. Health is not one thing. It's so multifaceted, and I think that's what people need to keep in mind and remember. Health is going shopping and finding something beautiful for yourself that you look good in and you feel good in, not squeezing into something because it's so cute and everyone has it.
Yeah.
It's honoring yourself and your body and your hunger and your needs. That's what health is. So it's not one thing.
How do you feel about exercise? Like, what is your take on that?
So I think if exercise is something that you enjoy, you should do it. Exercise does not have to be in a
I think
gym.
it releases like a lot of endorphins. Like, it's just good.
Well, we know that it's good for you physically. Just we know from the science.
No,
that
I'm saying like in a
exercise is-
mental way.
Yeah, no, we know that it's good for your mental health. We know that it has the ability to change your moods. It could change your body chemistry. I think exercise is so important. We know that exercise has more of an impact on your health than anything, than what you put in your mouth, than your weight. If you are in a bigger body but you are exercising, you have better health outcomes than someone who's thin and doesn't exercise. Something to keep in mind. exercise is great, but you have to find what you love. So maybe you don't love the gym, but you love roller skating, or maybe you don't love roller skating, but you love yoga, or maybe you like taking walks, or maybe just find joyful movement. You love Zumba, you love dancing, you love whatever it is that gets your body moving. That's what you have to do.
Also, like the exciting workouts are like I'll give you an example, like Soul Cycle. It's so clean and so it's like fancy. Like that's like exciting for me. Like I love going to Soul Cycle class because like I think it's fancy. I meet cool people and it's like a social-ish thing.
Yeah.
So
you
I love it.
have to find what you love. Some people hate spin. Some people love spin. Some people like boxing. Some people like walking. Any kind of movement is great for you. So you have to find what you love and just do that. You know. And again, that intuitive movement also that's in line with intuitive eating. And when you learn about intuitive eating, you learn about that movement also. Like you have to do what your body wants. So maybe you do love going to the gym, but one day you're just like, I'm not feeling it, I don't want to go. You don't have to go, you know, because then it doesn't become joyful anymore. Then it becomes a task and it's annoying, you know. So you got to really do what feels good on your body and what feels good for you mentally, and just being aware of that and honoring that.
Should we read some of our comments?
Yes, I'm going to look through now. It's like sideways, so it's so hard to see. So let's see. Hold on. Okay, I'm going to turn it this way. Oh, you read the comments. Okay. When you're in a bigger size, there's so much anxiety when you go shopping with friends. It also creates feelings of self-hatred. Yes, we talked 100%. About that. You're both amazing. I know. We are both amazing.
I love Giddy Burr. She's so sweet.
She's Sarah! The best. Hi, Sarah. That's my sister. Are there times that a child does not have healthy hunger and fullness cues and needs adults to be more involved?
I would say autistic. Actually.
So definitely if there's kids with developmental issues or if they're on like certain medications like ADHD meds or something that could impact their appetite. But then I would say then you should speak with a dietitian and not a nutritionist, a dietitian, a registered dietitian who will help you learn to feed your kids when, let's say, they're on a medication, so they're not so hungry, and then when the medication wears off, they're starving. You're going to teach them how to feed themselves during the day.
ADHD and ADD meds also suppress your appetite. I know Concerta and Ritalin, they suppress.
So you want to make sure, though, that your kid is getting enough food and not starving and then binging later on because that's just not good for their bodies, meaning that they're not getting adequate nutrition throughout the day, and that can mess with their metabolism, give them health issues. So a dietitian will most likely tell you, give them small snacks, encourage them to eat little things, even if they're not so hungry, just so that their hunger is kind of curbed. And then when the medication wears off, they can have a bigger meal because they'll have more of an appetite, but it won't be that like hurried, mindless eating. They'll be able to kind of, you know, eat and enjoy their food. That's something you want.
Okay, Mariana, you two are the dream team. Oh, love this. Intuitive eating is the best thing that ever happened to me. I got my life back.
Yes.
You go, girl.
Totally.
Gym is literally my self-care. I love the gym.
Awesome. So yeah, I would encourage you guys to learn about intuitive eating. There are intuitive eating pages to follow. Evelyn Tribole is like the one who wrote the book on intuitive eating, so definitely following her and learning about it. And then there's so many dietitians to follow. Rachel Goodman, Gila Glassberg. Like I'm sure if you look through the list of people that I just posted the other night, some dietitians that I follow that talk about intuitive eating. But educating yourself, that's the first piece. Educating yourself and following accounts that show you body diversity, body neutrality, body positivity, body respect. Those are the things that will get you to a better place and help you just learn to...
And that feel good, you know?
Feel good, yeah. That's what we want. Okay. Are you hiring?
Yes, we are.
Oh, okay. So you can
reach out to Deborah.
Yeah, okay. Awesome. Thanks, guys. This was awesome. Should we show some of your stuff? Should we do like a separate look around the store?
Whatever you want. I'm
okay.
Good.
I don't know
how much time
we have left. But okay, let's look around the store and see what Ruchama has here. Hold on. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Show us some of your stuff.
Okay, so this is our newest for summer. It's super popular, actually. It's the acid wash skirt. It's super cute. We have t-shirts to match, and it comes in 3 colors.
So cute.
People were requesting for so long denim skirts. We came out with denim skirts.
Oh, I love these.
4 colors.
Stretchy, guys. Really pretty and comfy.
Nice. It comes in 4 colors. This is actually a fan favorite. Abby Wallen loves it, and so do I.
And we love Abby Wallen.
Exactly.
So cute.
And it's very, very lightweight and very delicious.
I love it.
And we just have a cute setup. We have a dressier here. We have our Esther and Sasha collection up here.
Okay.
We have vests. We have tops. We have dresses. We have... Actually, this just came in yesterday. It's actually really very flattering on. and it comes in 2 sleeves line.
Ooh,
So if
love.
you're somebody that likes to wear a shell because you like that feeling,
Mhm.
this is the short sleeve, and this is the longer sleeve, and it's layered. And actually, one of my customers just had a genius idea for a gown. Just to
Oh.
connect them.
So pretty.
Yeah.
I love this
it's
also.
super cute and super lightweight.
This is
That's
so
my
pretty.
favorite dress. I live in it.
So
Literally
cute.
live in it.
Beautiful.
And I'm actually wearing a D-Rama. It's called the Happy Zipper Dress. It's awesome because it has this stretch cotton t-shirt sleeves.
Love it.
And it's just very easy, still dressy. You could wear it on a first date, could wear it, you know, being a mom. It's just easy every day, good out for dinner, whatever.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, and then we have all our Esther and Sasha collection, leather, feathers, fringes.
So pretty.
We have things for everyone. My customer base definitely likes to stick in the black zone.
Right.
We are working our way into colors now. It's a
Okay.
little tricky because the colors don't sell as well as blacks.
Right.
But yeah, that's currently what's happening here at D-Rama.
Love
We're always
it.
trying to get new things in, and we love suggestions. And yeah, that's everything for us.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, this was, I'm just going to, in the mirror, because
Okay.
then I could see myself. This was amazing. Thanks for tuning in. I loved our little get together.
Yes.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Sarah, for connecting us. She's the best. And if you guys have any other, where are you opening up another store? In Muncie? I know other stores carry your stuff, but never have enough items and sizes.
Right. So there's 3 locations in Muncie that carry us: Blue, Top Row, and Beautiful. And you can ask any of them to get you any items that you're interested in having. We do as well send them our line sheets currently, and we're up to date with them. And so based on what they order is what they have. I do not plan to open a store in Muncie right now, but you never know, guys.
Okay.
And that's about it.
Okay, this was great. Any other questions? Reach out, follow. I know, she's so cute.
She's
Hi,
so
Sarah.
cute.
Love you. Reach out, follow D-Rama if you're not, and hopefully we'll do more things together.
Yeah, I would love that.
All right. Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
guys.